circle in our relationship.
Absolutely.
Don't you think? I know. I want to start with the years following the release of Nine Track Mind. I kind of want to set up what was going on with you before you started writing voice notes. Can you tell me a bit about, you released the album, you had a shitload of multi-platinum massive hits, you hit the road. What was your life like during that time?
My life during the release of my debut album was almost like a rebirth. It was like a brand new life. Some things that I had never felt, or I mean, I was traveling around the world and I saw places that I'd never been to. I got the sickest I've ever been to because I was overworked, and I had to, some great things happened, like the multi-platinum records, like you mentioned before. I'm very, very appreciative of that, but some not great things happened, like getting sick and having to cancel my tour. Like, the doctor told me my immune system diminished by 50%. I was running around the world so much, and I just was working nonstop for 2 years. And as happy and, ballady and bright, literally, that album is, the front cover is literally bright yellow. I wasn't entirely thrilled with everything going on in my life at that time. It was a weird middle.
Was it weird also to suddenly be famous?
It was weird to suddenly be famous, but it was manageable fame. Even right now, I have manageable fame. I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like it was more traveling and talking to people that, and paparazzi running up to me asking for pictures and getting paid if they, and getting. I'm sorry, my friend was like, you leave that shit out, but you know what I mean? Like it was definitely like a brand new experience, all of that.
What were some of the highlights, would you say? What were some of the most memorable and exciting things that you got to do?
Hold on one second. It's literally going to take like 5 more minutes. Sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
What would you say are some of the more the highlights of the last couple of years, like some of the more memorable things that you got to do?
The stuff that's usually said by every artist, playing in front of thousands of people, having them recite your lyrics all around the world. That never gets old. I know that sentence is used to death, but it is not. I feel like 0.1% of the population of this world gets to experience people loving their art and getting it sung back to them. So I never get sick of that, even if it's the old songs that don't really apply to me anymore, apply to my style of music. I still love playing them because the fans still love it. If that makes sense.
Was there any show that you did or any person that you got to meet where you just thought, holy fuck, I can't believe I'm here?
When I recently got to work with James Taylor, that was very full circle. Someone told me that to lower my expectations, about 10 years ago, because I might not ever get to work with James Taylor or Max Martin, and not saying that I proved them wrong, but I did get to work. I was drinking tea with James Taylor, and I'm working with Max on. I did a song with Max and his camp on this album as well. So it's all very, very exciting stuff.
I remember us talking about Max when I interviewed you for your first bio, actually, and you were just expressing your admiration for him, and that's pretty cool. I remember that. Yeah,
absolutely. I wrote and produced this entire album, but the only song we had added last minute that I really just didn't have time to do all on my own was Empty Cups, and they came through with an absolute smash for me, and I put my little spin on it, but that was the most collaborative moment on this album.
Okay. And I want to get to the album in a minute. I still want to do a little more setup. We spoke earlier about you having several multi-platinum hits. How did that change things for you, do you think?
I was able to do a lot of things that I wasn't able to do before. I was able to buy more music equipment for myself. I was able to buy a faster computer. I know that's super nerdy, but I'm not relying on any engineer or other producers really. So me having a top-notch equipment and the fanciest microphone ever. I mean, considering the fact that I had been up to that point recording with $100 microphones, and still sounded good. So that was the thing, that the technology that I was able to get for myself to make the music, all the vintage synths I was able to source out to make the, to construct all the beats and everything. That was a really, really special moment for me.
Didn't it also, though, give you leverage in terms of being able to make this new record pretty much on your own? Would you say that was a consequence of it?
That is a very good point, Tracy.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
All of a sudden, I had all this leverage from the label. It was in the beginning, I was this new young blood, and I didn't really have any songs behind me except one big one. But who knows if I was going to make another one of those again? Now I have many of those, and they trusted me to make this whole album. So yeah, I love it, man.
How did it feel for you watching people connect with song after song? It wasn't just one hit, right? It was like 5 hits.
Yeah, it was like 5 hits. I want more, or 6 right now.
Yeah, 6.
I wanted to make more songs just by witnessing their reaction, their great reaction to all the music that was played on the radio. I make the music for the people. I say this all the time. I don't make this music for myself or my own ego. I make it for everybody else's memories. So it made me literally just want to make more music for them.
Okay. I remember years ago interviewing Chris Martin for Spin for our cover Band of the Year, and he just said he wanted everyone, even the accountant driving to his job, to nerd out in his BMW and sing the songs at the top of his lungs. He didn't care.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. It makes me so happy when people subconsciously start moving their bodies when they hear a song that they like. That's the best thing in the world for me.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start talking about voice notes. When we could have touched on this yesterday, but now I'm recording and I need to get the info from you. When did you start writing the songs on the album, on the new album?
I started writing. I'm going to step outside. It's pretty loud in here.
Okay.
I started writing songs for the new album in January of 2017 in my hometown of Rumson, New Jersey, and I started it, in a pretty comfortable place, which was my home.
Which were the 3 songs that you wrote there?
The songs that I wrote there were L.A. Girls. I'm just going through the track list right now.
Okay.
Let me just take a look at this just so I don't mess anything up here. Just want to make sure that it's... Oh, Jesus, now there needs to be a password. What's funny is that I'm pretty sure L.A. Girls was really the only song that came out of that entire 2 weeks. Okay. We wrote a lot of good songs, but the one that I wrote and started in the shower myself, it's so weird. The whole form of that song just came about from me being in the shower. It just popped in my head out of nowhere, the whole beat. And I have the voice note of it, too. It's one take, 1.5 minutes of me playing the verse, pre, and the chorus. And Jay Cash came in and helped fix that lyric, and that's it. I think, that's definitely the only song that came about. It was a fun week, though.
Okay. And what would you say, I want to get into the themes on the record, but can you tell me a bit about how you were feeling, what kind of headspace you were in emotionally when you wrote the bulk of this album?
In the bulk of this album, I wasn't, I was in a bit of a more, not jaded headspace. Just give me 1 second. I just want to pull out. Here, go ahead. One more time. I can't. I'm being distracted. Go ahead.
Okay. I guess I just want to get a sense of where you were emotionally, what was going on for you that may have influenced some, the writing of the songs. Because I think that's important.
I went through some dark times in the creation of this album. I had my joy of and excitement for wanting to travel around the world had been diminished at this point, and I was honestly kind of jaded because I stopped wanting to go places. So I wrote these songs to make myself feel better, and that's the honest truth as well. I really at some points was just so enriched with anxiety and so many like dark place in my life. Not really the best, and that's why the music is kind of bittersweet in a way. Musically, lyrically. I went through a lot of trouble in different relationships, not trusting people. Thank God, once again, that I have my family close to my side, because they're the ones that, and you'll almost hear it at the end of the album, just like you see the end of the album, which the song is I've Been Through It All. That's what ends the album. It's almost like the light at the end of the tunnel type of feeling when that song happens. And the very beginning with The Way I Am, that's it's a very happy song, and I wanted it to be that way so people could sing along to it. But the lyrics are very true to what my how I was feeling in my life.
You told Billboard that your mom told you that you were losing touch with why you got here, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, my mom is the one who told me to stop making YouTube covers. No one was ever going to take me seriously as an artist if I just did covers all the time, and she really wanted me to write my own music. And I listened to her then, and she was correct.
Yeah.
Now I listen to her this time saying that, she's tired of seeing me in tabloids. People are going to forget why you are who you are, her words. And I listened to her, and she also ended up being correct that time.
I felt like listening to the album like I was viscerally watching you go through something. Like the lyrics, I think the lyrics are great. Like they're relatable and they tell stories, but they're very personal. Like just you're clearly like working something out, like, some pain, and then, like you said, some anxiety. And I don't know, I just thought it's a vulnerable.
It's not trusting people. It is vulnerable, but I've all my life it takes me about 5 meetups to really understand somebody. Like some of my best friends to this day were like, "Yeah, you were really rude to me when I first met you, Charlie." I just don't trust anybody when I first meet them. It's a rare exception when it only takes a couple meetups for me to really trust somebody, and I think that was heavily outlined in this album.
Yeah. Well, you said yesterday that there were sort of 2 subject matters that you touch on. One was relationships and the other was about the anxiety, and I wondered if we could kind of talk about that dichotomy a little bit. I mean, to me, they seem like they're connected, but you tell me.
The relationships fueled the anxiety.
Yeah.
The women that I was surrounding myself with, and I'm not here to bash women.
Right.
There's a lot of great women in the world. It's just the ones that I was surrounding myself with weren't. A relationship is supposed to enhance what you do. It's, what I do is music, so it's supposed to enhance music, make your music better, and it was not. It wasn't doing that. I was getting caught up in the wrong things, going to parties that I didn't want to. There's a big theme of parties.
Yeah.
In this album, especially with Attention, where lyrically it kind of sets up a scene at a party. I just kept going to all these places I didn't want to go to, and I finally, at the end of this album cycle, I asked myself, why am I doing this? Why am I pretending to be someone I'm not? And I just stopped, and by the end of the album, I was I think that who I was really was coming out in the music, but when I would leave the studio, the fake me was coming out. The person who I thought I was supposed to be was coming out.
Yeah, I mean, LA Girls, you address it. Attention, you address it. The Way I Am, in a way, you're sort of defiant about it. Like people say that shit about me, but fuck you.
Even in sort of fun records like Slow It Down, where I'm with the lyric, she's only 23. I'm not the guy that she's supposed to love. Girls, and the other side of the spectrum, girls thinking that, I'm all perfect for them, and, if they are with me, their lives are going to get better.
Right.
And they realize that I have a lot of issues too, and it's not so amazing to be with me.
in that way without getting to know me, because everybody thinks that another thing is that everybody who listens to my music and sees me on TV or whatever has an idea of me from online. They think that they know me, but they really don't. And when they find out, it's a bit daunting, I think.
Well, and also maybe you experiencing some fear that you're not going to live up to the image that people have of you, or in some way. I know I've experienced that, felt that way.
Absolutely, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that theme on the album, and there's by the end, when I was feeling better, I wrote records like Change and different. Also, majority of this album is relationship type records, but different themes in the relationship. Like Boy is about a time, we'll say, that somebody that I know was with someone who didn't take them seriously because they were so well established in the business and they were a bit older, but that boy developed some strong feelings for that person, but that person was just looking for a small fling. My friend told me not to name his name, but I think his name was Arlie Uth. Not really any relation to me, though.
Okay. So maybe you could break down for me which songs do you think are about. I mean, we're going to go. I want to go through some of the tracks, the ones that I've heard anyway. But which are the ones that you think are about those kind of different types of relationships? Would you say?
The fun types of the playful type thing, like Slow It Down, is not. It's not as intense as LA Girls, where it's specifically naming people that didn't really add any value to my life.
Yeah.
Even like no one will get this, but like somebody told me was even from just like it's another record about cheating on the other side, but it was more. We weren't even with each other at that point, so it was okay that we were just messing around type of thing. There's fun records like that, and I try and you know what I'm trying to say?
I
don't know. I keep walking. I forget that I'm a famous dude, and people on the street keep looking at me. So I'm trying to go into this little corner right here.
Okay.
Go ahead. I don't know what that made no sense what I just said. I don't have the track listing in front of me, so I'm trying to remember. Very distracted right now.
I have it in front of me. Why don't we'll go through some of them, and then we can work it out then. But let's keep, which one, can you think of any ones that are particularly about more on the anxiety front, just so that I know what you're talking about?
I just need to see the list. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I can't remember any of my songs. Here we go. Found it. If You Leave Me Now, kind of a nod to Chicago.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, very simple. If you leave me now, I'm not going to have a really nice night. It's that one, and you don't have to really read into it too much. Patient is more of an apology record that can be interpreted in many ways. Maybe an apology to my family, even, for being too obnoxious in the spotlight at times, and I'm not going to be that anymore. So, just be patient with me. I'm figuring how to deal with this so-called fame in the best way possible. Change, featuring James Taylor, is a worldly type record that is, really dedicated to the kids who put together March for Our Lives. And in regards to all gun violence for that cause. Empty Cups is the funnest record.
I haven't heard that one. I don't have that one, so I'm dying to hear it.
No, because we're still finishing it. It's when I was making that record, I wanted to paint the image of a house party in 1996. You know that scene in Clueless when they go to the party in the valley?
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Clueless?
Yeah, of course.
Like a house party like that. A house party like in the Montel Jordan This Is How We Do It video. Just a fun house party where you leave one room and go to another room. Rooms are very important in houses, and they're very vibey. I prefer them to clubs.
Okay.
And you're in one room, and then you grab, get her, and you guys go in another room and make out on a couch that's covered in plastic.
Okay.
And let me see here.
Done for Me.
I've been Through It All. The song that Through It All is what it's called. It's the song that ends the album. It's kind of just like a summation of everything. It's okay, this is what I've been through, and this is how I dealt with it. I hope you enjoyed this album. Pretty much. And that's
Okay.
That's what that song is.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the ones that I have heard. What about, what do you want to say about Attention? What kind of inspired that one?
And Attention is my wanting to prove people wrong. I made that record to prove to people that I wasn't just a pop-tart singing someone else's songs that they wrote for him. This is, I wanted to prove to people that I am musical. And luckily enough, there's a subject matter that I was experiencing where I was with somebody that was just trying to get the attention of their former lover. I thought that was an interesting topic to write about.
Yeah.
So I wrote about it.
Yeah.
And I made sure that that she would hear the song everywhere. And I think she did.
Oh, and I think I know.
But don't write it like
I won't.
Like bitchy or anything.
No, but I do have to write something that people will know, that we can say, right? So we have to soften it a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there a softer way you want to communicate that?
We can say I was going through a time. I was knee deep in a relationship I was knee deep in a relationship, and I thought that it was going to go a certain way, but it just turns out that she just wanted the attention of someone in her past, and that really hurt me. And I wrote this song, and I thought it was funny that it ended up sounding like such a fun dance record when in actuality it was really kind of a low point in my life.
Yeah.
Use that one.
That was good, Charlie. What about How Long?
How Long is the chapter 2 of Attention, essentially, with a different key signature and a different tempo. And I saw the success of Attention and wanted to emulate it, but not rip it off. I didn't want to rip off my own song, but I still wanted to make people dance and cry at the same time, which is something I love doing. And I kind of made that on How Long, I believe I did.
Tell me about working with Boyz II Men on If You Leave Me Now.
With Boyz II Men, I wrote that song with my friend Tobias, and we went in the studio thinking, we have to make a song. We went in the studio thinking that it would be great to make a song that ripped off Boyz II Men, something that they would want to sing, like almost a record that they would sound great on, not ever knowing that they would actually want to sing on it. And we sent it to Boyz II Men, and they cut it, and it sounded pretty freaking incredible. It was the first time I didn't really have to do any vocal touch-ups.
Yeah. Right, it just came out perfect, right, when they sent it back to you?
It did. All I did was send it to Manny to mix it in, and we were done.
And then what about Done For Me, thematically, and working with Kehlani?
Done For Me. I'm just writing this song. Leave me alone. Done For Me was, I left a party that I thought I had to be at. I left it and was like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I went home and had my Juno 60 keyboard. And, hold on sorry, Tracy.
It's okay.
She added a lot to that record because it's the only record that really isn't that dynamic in melody. It's pretty much just it's very Wham inspired and kind of stays in the same place. Very easy to sing along to. So adding a girl voice from her perspective of a relationship gone wrong worked out really, really well.
I feel like a lot of these songs, there was like a part of you that feels like you had, like you said, you had to participate in this glittery kind of lifestyle, but that you found it really troubling and inauthentic and kind of just not what you thought it was going to be. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I thought I thought I was supposed to go to all these places, and I thought I was supposed to be this type of person. But as it turns out, being myself ended up working the best.
Okay, let's talk about James Taylor. How did you... I know he's your idol. You told me a story yesterday about him thinking he wasn't going to be able to sing this or sing the high notes or do it right or something.
He walked in the studio very humbly and basically said, hey, if it doesn't work out today, just turn the wheel so you don't hit the bottom. He said, if it doesn't work out, don't worry about using any of my vocals. And that's when I fell in love with him even more. I was like, this guy is the absolute best.
What was it like having your idol sing on a song that you wrote?
Wait, say it. This microphone is so messed up. Say it again.
What was it like for you having your idol, your musical hero, sing on a song that you had written?
It felt very full circle, because I was told in the past to lower my expectations if I never got to work with him. It was okay. It was pretty cool that I was just in Conway with him.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the sound of the record, because it's very different than 9-Track Mind, obviously. And I know you said yesterday that that wasn't a deliberate thing. But how did the sonic idea come to you to kind of do something in this more dance-oriented, kind of funky, groovy vein than what you had done before?
It was interesting. I've Been Through It All was the first record I ever wrote for the album, and that sounds like old classic me. And I don't know. It just everything. I make everything based off what I'm listening to, and my mom showed me a music video of Bobby Brown dancing in 1988, and I just fell in love with that, and the fact that it was his debut album after getting out of New Edition, he was almost proving himself to people, like saying like, oh, I can work with L.A. Reid and Babyface and make a completely different style of music that people wouldn't expect of me. I wanted to kind of do that same thing. And,
which music video was it? Do you remember?
It was Every Little Step by Bobby Brown.
Okay.
When he's dancing with like 4 women.
Yeah. You were inspired a lot by, it sounded like to me, we talked about, and I just want to get it from you, Janet Jackson's producers, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. It sounds like there's a Wham kind of George Michael influence on this record. Is that correct?
Definitely. When again, all artists that were proving something when they broke off from their groups. When George broke off from Wham, he wanted to show the world that he can produce records like Careless Whisper and Father Figure on his own. He doesn't need anybody to do it. And, it's not like he did it in a vengeance type of way, but he was just showing how musical he was.
Yeah.
So that was really, really my goal, to show the world how musical I was.
Yeah. How would you describe the sound of the record? Just because I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to like getting references correct.
I describe it as pop music, universal pop music, but pop music that like jazzy pop music that or whatever. Like jazzy pop music with just like a little bit different chords, and kind of touching on a time period in 1988 through 1990 where R&B was at an all-time high, and really, really different sounding with big gated snares. And I never listened to this music growing up, so it sounded like brand new music for me to emulate, if that makes sense.
Besides Bobby Brown and Janet's records and George Michael, is there any other influences that would be good for me to mention to point media toward that we can talk about?
When Babyface put out his own music, Babyface for real, Tender Lover, even who was the lead singer of Journey?
Steve Perry.
Is that Steve Perry?
Yeah.
Steve Perry, when he broke away from what's that? Oh, okay, I'll just wait out here then. Foolish Heart, records like that. Nothing that I can say. I'm usually so good at this. I'm just so fucking distracted right now. I'm sorry. I'm running around doing We had to finish the album yesterday.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's like it's pretty overwhelming right now.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me. I just want to make sure that I get everything.
No, I appreciate you taking the time with me. You're going to make me sound great.
I will. I just want to make sure I get everything right. I should have recorded yesterday, but I didn't really think of it because it was, being filmed. But let's see. Okay, let's talk about voice notes. I want to definitely touch on the title, why you're calling it voice notes, and what those played in, how those played into the making of the record.
Right. The reason why I'm calling it voice notes is because every song on the album was made off a voice memo on my phone, and I thought it was really cool that no ink was used in the creation of this album at all. It was just purely voice tones on my phone.
Mm-hmm. When did you start making voice notes? Like, when did you start doing that?
I've recorded my voice all my life, like a tape recorder. I've always just been obsessed with sound. Even the annoying sounds that are happening right now, like too many cars in traffic, I still love them because everything has a pitch.
I know, like you were yesterday when there was all that noise, you were like calling out all the notes for all the sounds that we were hearing.
I know, I was kind of bugging out, but, I get distracted, and sometimes it really does add to the anxiety not knowing how to turn it off.
Well, it's just how you synthesize what's happening in the world, it sounds like,
Exactly. It's how music can calm me down or make me the most anxious person in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the fact that you recorded and produced the majority, except for this one song, yourself. When did you get that idea? Why did you want to do it? Why was that important to you to do it that way?
It was important for me to do it because I was told so many times that I couldn't do it that way, and I wanted to show everybody that I could do it. This album really is, I'm going to shamelessly say, it's really, I was just tired of explaining to people that I was a record producer and that I produced some of their favorite songs, and I'm not just a singer.
Yeah.
And I actually play piano. That's not just a shtick. I was just tired of explaining to people, so I thought, what better way than just simply do it?
Mm-hmm. And also, did you feel like it was a reaction in some way to 9-Track Mind?
It was a definite reaction
to
9-Track Mind. Even though 9-Track Mind did very well, it's 100% not my style. Mm-hmm. And I was in some way very not forced to do these records because, of course, I said yes, but I didn't really know I had no idea what my sound was, so I was just going back and forth with everybody who was trying to help me figure that out. And now I was very sure. Hello, how are you? Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. 1 second, Tracy.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so we were talking about whether making it yourself was a reaction to 9-Track Mind.
Yeah, the reason why there were so many negative reactions on my debut album is because it clearly wasn't me at all, and I think people could sniff that out. And I knew it wasn't me when I put it out. So that's all I was trying to do. At the end of the day, it really isn't about critics' reactions. Mm-hmm. It's about people's reactions. But how could I not care a little bit?
Yeah. Well, Attention must have been a really great moment for you because that was really well received and people got to see a different side of you. Instead of seeing you as like the love ballad singer, now they kind of saw you as a more, sophisticated artist with it really, all your musicality really came through.
All right.
If I could take what you just said and act like I just said it, I would. That was perfect. That gave me chills the way you just said that. In fact, did you just say that to me so I could just have it come out of my mouth? I mean, that was perfect.
Okay, I can quote myself and pretend that you said it.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, let's talk.
Okay. 1 second. That's my mom calling. This is unbelievable.
How do you want people to feel when they hear this album?
I want them to have an image in their mind of what it's like to be by yourself and be okay with that. Mm-hmm. Because I was by myself for the entire creation of this album. It's weird as how famous you get, the less friends you get.
Yeah.
And I know people need to have their quote unquote squad or posse around them at all times. But I want them to listen to this album. If they get the record, the physical copy of the album, just listen to it with big headphones and complete lossless quality, so they can hear every instrument that I layered in there, and just listen to it by themselves and be like, and say to themselves, it's okay to be alone. I'm happy to be alone. I'm happy to be doing this right now, and I can, whatever I'm doing, I can do it alone too. I don't need anybody's help. That's the big thing for me.
Okay. And what are you looking forward to about the record coming out, about people hearing this? I mean, I know they've heard several of the songs, but now they're going to hear like the whole body of work.
I'm excited. I was just listening to it from front to back. It sounds like an album. It sounds like one person put it together, and even though I did collaborate with some great genius people, but it just sounds consistent, and that's the most exciting thing to me out of the whole thing. Like, one song doesn't sound louder than the other. One key signature leads and one begins as the next track pops up. It's all very, very exciting to me, because this really truly feels like one body of work.
Do you, your music, you've had such huge hits. Do you have a sense of what it is that people, like, do your fans write you in messages or tell you about what it is about your music that they connect to, like what it is that they love about it?
I just think from what I gather, it's how conversation-based it is. It's not about unreachable topics. It's about stuff that people go through every day in their life. It's some of the titles are even grabbed from actual conversation pieces. You just want attention, and there's some that aren't, like messing with these LA girls, that go a little bit more specific into my end of the story. However, I just think it's accessible, and it is complex musically, but it's not. It shouldn't turn people off. It shouldn't be too hard to understand or digest.
Well, watching you yesterday when you were showing how you created that one song, it really drove home for me your talent and the musicality.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was blown away by what you did. Just the way you were kind of able to recreate it.
But I don't have a chance to do that every day for people. I don't get a chance to, show what I do to people who might not know anything about me. So I'm trying to convey that through the music.
Yeah.
I think I've done it with this album.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it in the bio, and hopefully that will start to get people to think of you in that way. But
you're going to help me do it, which is why I'm so mad that I'm so distracted right now, because I really want this all to come across in the right way and not come across as pretentious, like when I say things that it's musically complicated. Like I'm not insinuating that I'm like, Mozart or anything. I'm just saying that I want pop music to sound a little bit different.
Well, I mean, you've talked a lot about the jazz influence. Maybe you could briefly touch on that for me a little bit, and that would help me kind of convey it. And I'm not going to make you sound pretentious ever. Don't worry about it.
Sure. From 7th grade to going into college, ending college, from 7th grade to 2013, I spent most of my life in music school, playing in jazz combos, writing for big bands, listening to John Coltrane and Wes Montgomery and Miles Davis and Pat Metheny and Jaco Pastorius, and I'm all at the same time listening to the hip hop movement of the Bay Area, the hyphy movement, every little bit of hip hop that was coming out in the mid 2000s to where it's at right now. It's all sort of related to each other musically, and I would, and especially in R&B, when you put it side by side. When you put a Luther Vandross record aside a John Coltrane record, you can hear similar chord changes at times. And when you listen to My Boo by the Ghost Town DJs, you hear those same chord changes. And I thought that was remarkable whenever I would spot those similarities. And I just wanted to make the record that people could spot those similarities to as well.
Well, I think what's great about it is that people who know about jazz and know about music will hear how musically sophisticated this record is, and then for people who don't give a shit about that, they can get off their butt and dance and have a great time. And then people who listen for story and lyrics, who are just like kind of want to hear a good story. There's something for everybody, I feel like, in this. That's what I
Oh my gosh! Can I say all that? It's so good. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Something for everybody. Well, just pretend I just said all of that. You just said I approve it. Please just write. That is so good. I'm gonna come off as a Harvard scholar.
Well, the good news is on Wednesday when you're talking to those international journalists, like hopefully some of these phrases will ring for you. And if you want to talk a little bit.
This is basically in preparation for that, like showing people.
Yeah.
So they know what to ask about.
Yes, I don't know too many details about that. Oh, I think that's a huge piece of it.
It's hard for me to say it sometimes because I'm not good with words. I'm better with music. Mm-hmm. So I stumble, I trip over my words sometimes, and I'm so worried about people not getting what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
I do. I don't agree with you that you're not good with words. I think that's a story you're telling yourself. So I think that you actually are. It's just there's preparation just to think things through. Anybody coming new to the first time they've really talked about something would it's good to rehearse it and think it through before you actually speak it, which is what I do as a media coach, right?
Right. Well, you're the best in the business for that reason.
Thank you. But just so you know, for me, it's not about like helping somebody because they're not good. It's more about, okay, you have a really big opportunity here to tell your story. How do you want to do it? Let's work it out. That's all.
Great.
So, yeah.
Well, is there anything else I need to touch on while I have you on the phone with me?
I think that's it for now.